Have you ever felt like there is a wall in front of your mouth? You know the words, but they just won't come out. Today, we're breaking down the grammar barrier. Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is, it's a really specific one and a very personal
It
one.
really is.
Frankly, it's vital for anyone who's ever tried to master a second language.
Mhm.
We've gone through a stack of sources you sent us, articles, learner diaries, even linguistic research, all focused on this thing learners call the grammar barrier.
Mm.
So we're diving into why this invisible wall exists, how it paralyzes perfectly capable learners, and most importantly, what tactical steps we can take to, dismantle it brick by brick.
And invisible is absolutely the key word there. That feeling of being totally blocked.
Yeah.
Your mind is racing, but nothing comes out. That feels intensely real.
Oh, totally.
And our sources are so clear on this. This barrier it's not physical, it's not bad teachers or even the language itself. It's a psychological, a cognitive thing built right inside the learner's own head.
So we have to see this feeling of being blocked, not as some kind of character flaw, but as, what, a cognitive hurdle.
The cognitive hurdle that
Yeah.
we can absolutely learn to jump over.
Okay, so let's unpack that. This idea that the learner is the one building the wall. It's a powerful idea, but it's also kind of scary.
Mm.
It implies self-sabotage.
It does.
The sources describe it as this invisible partition between you and the world, and the main reason it gets built is it's just overthinking. We stop our own progress. We get paralyzed by analysis right when we need to be spontaneous.
It's a moment of internal censorship. It's like you have the words, you have the desire to speak, you even have the basic sentence structure ready to go.
But then what?
But then that internal critic, the little grammar police officer in your head, steps in and just blocks it right before the sound leaves your mouth.
What does that sound like? I mean, the sources give these really specific examples that I think everyone will recognize.
Yeah.
You're in a real conversation, trying to be spontaneous, maybe just ordering a coffee or something, and your brain just
Yeah.
slams on the brakes.
Right.
And internally, you hear that voice going, wait, is it past simple? Or is it present perfect? Should I be using the conditional here? Where does the adverb go?
In that millisecond hesitation.
Yeah.
That's the difference between having a conversation and not.
Yeah, because by the time you've figured out the perfect tense, the moment's gone.
Yeah.
The other person's moved on. Or worse, they see you're stressed, which just makes everything even harder.
Precisely. And this is where, we have to look at the cognitive cost of all this. The sources call it the cognitive load trap. It's not just that overthinking slows you down.
Okay.
The research shows it actively makes your speaking ability worse.
Wait, that sounds completely backwards. You'd think that thinking more about the rules should get you better results. How does that trap work in reverse?
It's all about your working memory. Think of it as your brain's processing power, your RAM. It's finite. It can only hold a few bits of information at once.
Right, like spinning plates.
Exactly like spinning plates. And when you're speaking, your brain needs that working memory to juggle like 4 major tasks at the same time.
Okay, what are they?
1, you're trying to retrieve vocabulary. 2, you're listening to and processing what the other person is saying. 3, you're monitoring social cues, their body language. And 4, you're trying to generate your own new thoughts.
That is a lot of spinning plates.
It is. Now, imagine you dedicate 80% of that precious, finite brain power to just one task. Recalling the perfect conjugation for an irregular verb.
You're putting all your energy into just one of the plates.
Exactly. And that energy is immediately taken away from the other 3. So if I'm hyper-focused on the mechanics...
I'm basically ignoring the person talking to me, I'm forgetting the words I actually know, and my own output is going to be clumsy anyway.
Precisely. You are draining the battery on mechanics, leaving nothing for the actual message. It makes your delivery slower, your voice less confident, and your speech sounds... Well, it sounds far worse than if you just trusted your gut and let the words come out, even if they're not perfect.
So the pursuit of 100% accuracy actually guarantees 0% fluency.
Because you've overloaded the system. It's a devastating irony.
The very thing we think will make us better speakers, that obsessive self-correction, is the mechanism that's keeping us silent.
And it makes you wonder why we're so obsessed with 100% accuracy in the first place. A lot of it comes from school, right? from tests, from grades, from getting red marks on a paper,
Yeah, you internalize that language is like a math problem. It has to be solved perfectly.
instead of a tool for connection. That invisible wall is often built from the shame of failing a grammar test.
Okay, so that brings us to the reality check we all need. If the goal isn't passing an exam, if it's actual human communication, how much perfection do we really need? I had this total aha moment a few years back.
Oh,
I was traveling, and I was in this chaotic market in Mexico City. I was trying to buy a rug from a vendor. He spoke Spanish, but his English was, let's just say, very creative.
okay.
He was mixing up pronouns, his verb tenses were all over the place. At one point he said, "Yesterday, I selling 5 of this, but today, you getting especially good price." Yes,
Grammatically, yeah, that's broken.
completely broken.
No.
But the message that he was giving me a deal, because he'd sold a lot the day before, it was crystal clear. It was easy to understand. We negotiated, we laughed. The whole thing was a complete success. His grammar didn't slow us down for a second.
And that story is the absolute cornerstone of taking this wall down, because
Yeah.
it proves that our fear of imperfection is just unnecessary. You, as the native speaker, you weren't grading him.
No, I was just trying to understand his intent.
You were filling in the gaps automatically, and our sources have this great way of reframing this. They call it the bridge analogy.
I found this analogy so helpful because it gives you a goal that isn't just be perfect. So what's the bridge analogy? What's the 80% rule?
Okay, so communication at its core is about building a bridge between two people. So a message can travel from one mind to the other.
Right.
The sources argue that if the bridge is, say, 80% perfect, it's got a solid foundation, some structure, most of the planks are there, you can still cross it.
You can get to the other side.
You get to the other side. You achieve the goal. You do not need a structurally perfect, aesthetically flawless, steel-reinforced bridge just to have a conversation.
You just need enough there to make sure the message gets across.
Exactly. And this is where our brains are amazing. Context, tone, nonverbal cues. All of that stuff compensates for the missing 20% of grammar. When a learner is paralyzed by fear, they haven't built any bridge at all.
They're still on the riverbank, arguing with themselves about what kind of wood to use for the first plank.
Right. The goal is to build the 80% bridge first. Get across. Worry about the decorations later. But I have to push back on this a little bit because I know someone listening is thinking, okay, but if I only aim for 80%, won't I just cement those mistakes when I sound broken forever?
That is the critical question. And the answer is about shifting your priorities. If you wait until you're 100% accurate, you will never speak.
So you'll never get the practice you need to improve your accuracy in the first place.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of silence. The sources tell us that fluency is what comes first. It's the precondition for accuracy. You can't fix a habit you haven't even started yet.
And that leads perfectly to I think, the core idea of this whole deep dive. The mantra we want you to take away from this. Message over mechanics. We have to fundamentally shift our mindset. Your voice, your message, your intent. That is so much more important than your perfect verb tenses. That fear you have is eclipsing a valuable thought that someone needs to hear.
You have to stop seeing communication as a performance of grammar.
And start seeing it as just a transference of meaning. And the key advice from the source material is this simple phrase: accuracy is for later, fluency is for now. And that's not just a nice motivational poster. It's a guide for how your brain actually learns.
So what is fluency then?
Fluency is just the ability to keep the speech flowing without those long, painful pauses. It builds momentum, it builds confidence, and it trains your mouth and brain to operate in real time, which reduces that cognitive load we were talking about earlier.
It's like muscle memory for your mouth. You have to get comfortable with the flow before you worry about the finishing touches.
For sure. If you stop every third word to check the grammar, you are killing the flow. You're guaranteeing you'll never achieve fluency.
So the sources must have some practical advice here. How do we actually do this when our internal grammar police are screaming at us?
They do. They suggest creating situations where you are forced to prioritize that flow.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, so one method is called timed speaking drills. You set a timer for 1 minute, and you just force yourself to speak continuously on a simple topic. What you did yesterday, your favorite movie, whatever,
Without stopping.
without stopping for any internal correction. The only goal is to keep the sound flowing. If you stumble, you keep going.
So even if I know I just said I goes instead of I win,
Yeah.
I have to just ignore it and keep talking until the timer goes off.
Exactly. You're retraining your brain. You're teaching it that output is the priority, not perfection.
This sounds absolutely terrifying for a perfectionist. It feels like you're practicing doing it wrong.
It is a courageous step, but it is the only way forward. Don't wait for the barrier to magically disappear. You have to walk right through it, messiness and all.
And this is where that visualization comes back, right?
Okay.
The wall.
Yeah.
The sources give this really liberating way of reframing mistakes.
Yes. This is so powerful.
They say that every mistake you make is a brick you remove from the wall.
That completely changes the emotional weight of making an error, doesn't it? If a mistake is a failure, you hide. But if a mistake is you actively taking down an obstacle,
Then you're motivated to speak more. Because every single mistake is actually a step forward. It's an act of liberation. You're weakening the wall you built.
and it's also proof. A mistake is proof that you were trying, that you were speaking. Silence is perfect, but silence is also stagnation.
Using your voice, even when it's flawed, is the only way to prove to your own brain that the bridge works, even at 80%. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, the grammar barrier is a self-imposed wall. It's built by overthinking, which drains your cognitive load and stops you from speaking. Second, real human communication only needs about 80% perfection. The message gets through.
Right.
And finally, the solution is to adopt this mantra of message over mechanics. Prioritize fluency now and let accuracy follow later as you build confidence.
And if we just zoom out for a second, this whole thing raises a really important question for every learner out there. When is the grammar barrier actually broken?
Yeah.
It's not the day your speech becomes flawless. That day might never come. It's broken the moment you decide that the human desire for connection is more important than your fear of technical imperfection.
So true confidence isn't the absence of mistakes.
It's the willingness to make them. The moment you truly decide your message matters more than your mechanics, the wall just nadir. It loses its power over you.
That is a powerful thought, and it's a decision you can make right now. So we want to ask you, what is one grammar rule that you always worry about? That one brick you are always afraid to break? Let's talk about it in the comments and let it go.